Hello and welcome to another episode of Legion by the Numbers. My name is Joe Eames, and in this episode we're going to be looking at the heavy options for the Phase 2 Clone Troopers. We're just going to be comparing the Z6 versus the Mortar Trooper, not the named units. So just a couple of options. Unlike the Phase 1s, have a lot more options, so a lot easier comparison. And just a note before we kind of get into it, if you enjoy this content, be sure to hit like and subscribe. We're putting out a lot of videos, so be sure and get notified as new videos come out. And leave a comment. Let me know if you liked what you saw, if there's any other scenarios you'd like me to go over, or see any mistakes that I make. I've learned a lot by doing these videos and learning a lot about how both the rules work and tactics to use. So I definitely appreciate it. Now let's start. We're actually going to outfit two different units, one with the Z6 and one with that Mortar Trooper. So I'm going to put in one of each. And for the Z6 is pretty straightforward. We're going to put in the Phase 2 Clone Trooper. We are going to give it offensive push because the Z6 really needs those aims. And then, of course, for the gear, the targeting scopes. As we saw in the other videos, it's the targeting scopes that really make the Z6 a useful unit. Without the targeting scopes, they really are not a great unit. Just aims by themselves just don't do enough. So you got to have the targeting scopes. Really, they should be stapled on any Z6 unit in general. Our second unit, Phase 2 Mortar Trooper. Again, the Phase 2 Clone Trooper. For this one, for training, we'll probably put offensive push again, but I think this is pretty questionable. You could certainly look at doing something like situational awareness, maybe endurance or duck and cover, but we're going to go with offensive push, and we're just going to look at them as if they were outfitted that way. And then we're going to go with recon intel, not targeting scopes. That extra precise one isn't going to do nearly as much because of all the black dice that they have versus the white dice of the Z6. So here's how we're outfitting the two. This one's going to be 99 points, and that one's 110. So let's start off with our Z6 troopers. They're 110. They are 5 black and 6 white. And then they do have that precise one, and that's and then they do the other thing that the Phase 2 Clone Troopers have is they have that reliable one, so they're going to have that surge token to go along with their aim tokens and the targeting scopes, giving them precise one. So a bit different than the Phase 1 Z6 unit. So there's our build. We're going to go ahead and we're just going to do red with no block and heavy cover and kind of use this as our basis and see what kind of damage they do against red troopers in heavy cover. So 1.4 with a 22% miss rating. Chance of doing no damage. Now let's head over to the Phase 2 Clone Troopers with the Mortars. They're 99 points. They don't have any white. Instead, they have 2 more black, so they're actually 7 black, but they have critical 1. They don't have precise. They still have that same surge token. So, but the nice thing about the Mortar Trooper is that they have the extra range 4, and they are suppressive. You can't use it at range 1. It's probably, again, not a big deal because in my experience, Clone Troopers don't end up getting in a lot of fights at range 1. By the time you're in range 1, you'll probably get in melee with something. Usually you're at range 2 or 3. So with that outfitted, with that surge token, the critical 1, the 7 black, let's go ahead and see what we're getting for them. So you can see already they're a bit less on damage, but the points per hit is only a little bit worse, 79 instead of 77. So right off the bat in that range 2 or 3, going again with, if they don't have aim tokens, the 2 different units do pretty similar damage. But if we go back to the Z6s and do give them an aim because they're either using their tactical from the offensive push that they have, or they're doing an aim and a shoot. Now they go up all the way to 2.06, whereas the Mortar Trooper only pops up to 1.6, and you can see that the points per hit has dropped down quite a bit. Now we're at 53 instead of 59. A little bit lower chance to not do any damage. And then, of course, if we go up to 2 aims, we're going to see an even bigger difference. Now they're at 2.5, and the Mortar Trooper is at 1.98, and the points per hit is now there's like a 7-point difference in points per hit. Not too much difference in efficiency. 6 points different, 6 points better with one aim. Two aims, kind of a diminishing returns going on there. But there's the two comparisons. So with 0 aims, they're pretty close. 1 aim, they start to see a bit of a difference. 2 aim, a little bit more, but now you're also getting some diminishing returns. But let's look at what happens if we go up against, we're going to look at 2 more situations. We're going to look at what happens at just range 4. If you have the mortar trooper and you can take a shot at range 4, is it worth it? And under what circumstances is it worth it? And we're also going to look at armor. So let's look at armor first. We'll switch back over to our Z6s. We're going to go with white, surge to block, no cover, and armor. And that's 1.4 with a 22% chance of doing no damage, whereas the mortar, white, surge to block, no cover, and armor, is doing 1.25. Oh, and I misdid this because we kept the aims. 2 aims is a bit too much. We're going to redo this. We're going to do the Z6 with just 1 aim, and then the mortar again with just 1 aim, and see how it comes out. All right, so the Z6 is doing 1.2, mortar is doing 1.14, 28% chance to, a little bit higher chance on the Z6 to do no damage, only 26 on the mortar. But notice that the efficiency is actually in the mortar's favor. So if it comes to shooting at armor, they both, with an aim, are pretty good at shooting at armor, but the mortar is actually a little bit more efficient as far as points go, 99 points instead of 110. So if you're outfitting a trooper unit, a phase 2 unit, and you you don't have a lot of other impact, and you might be using your mortar troopers as your way to try to ping down those armor units, doing 1 point at a time. Not really great, but still a possibility. They are a little bit more efficient. So now let's look at what happens when we shoot that mortar just at range 4 with nothing but those 2 black. We still get the critical one. We still have the surge token. We're going to assume that we do get the aim. We'll kind of look at this with and without aim. So let's go back to red, no surge, and heavy. And we're just going to kind of climb down and look and see what it takes until this is actually useful. And again, always remember that the mortar has suppressive. So that's a huge advantage, a huge thing. Other than against droids, it can really make a big difference throwing a suppressive attack out there. And you can see that in most of the cases, there was a very low chance of actually... well, this is just the full miss. That includes their defense. This miss rate actually blanking out is much lower on chance on the on that mortar trooper. So let's go ahead and run this. We're doing red, no surge, heavy cover with just 1 aim and only the mortar. And you can see there's not really a great chance of hitting. 73% chance you're going to miss, 0.3. So if you're shooting at red and heavy cover, really not a good shot. Let's go all the way to just white with no block. So like the B1s here, probably not going to do a lot of shooting at those things. Now you're still at a 57% miss chance. So there's still a better than average chance that you're not going to do damage against B1s in heavy cover. But what happens if we go down to light cover with our B1s? Now we have 0.7 and only a third of a chance to miss if they are, or do no damage if they're red. There's a 60% chance to not do any damage, but that's because the red's a half save. It's going to be roughly a 30% chance to blank out on those. There's almost, sorry, it's not, because of the light, it's actually almost no chance to blank out. We can actually simulate that by doing no die and no cover. And then we'll see that there's only a 4% chance to actually blank. So even against light cover, or even against any kind of unit at range 4, there's only a 4% chance. So you're still going to do the suppression no matter what. So going back to red, you probably won't want to shoot at red in light cover. White, surge to block. Now you're down to 50-50. So probably about the point when you're shooting at something at range 4 that's white, surge to block in light cover, or let's see how red with no surge in no cover does. Here we go. Again, about a third of a chance to hit. So somewhere to, if it's light cover, you better be shooting at either like a white surge to block, or maybe you're trying to get that last B1 unit leader dead. If they're red saves, they better be in no cover. Otherwise, red with just light cover, as we saw here before, really good chance you're not going to do any damage to them. You are going to do the suppression, so it still might be worth it to shoot at them and do the suppression. And that is one of the advantages of the Mortar Trooper, is because of the suppressive, that could be better than doing damage. Putting out suppression to suppression at range 4 is a really powerful thing. You're putting out suppression on a unit probably before it can shoot you. So you can move. Let's see what happens if there's no cover and we don't have the aim. So we move and just shoot at range 4. So that's a really, really long shot. Still only 14% chance that we're actually going to blank out. So putting out that suppression, the Mortar Trooper can really put out that suppression even without additional aim tokens. Having that surge does help out a lot. So there you go. There's a comparison of the statistics of the 2 different heavy units available to the Phase 2 troopers, incorporating their surge tokens and utilizing a reasonable number of aims, and some of the differences in how they work. Hope you like this video. Be sure to hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you in another video.